father came up with the idea of cutting a lot of holes in the exterior wall, allowing people to be in contact with a wonderful view of the Sydney Harbour and the harbour bridge beyond. Facing west is of course something that gives rise to very harsh contrast in light. So my father introduced some deep niches where the transition of light from the exterior to the interior becomes softer, and therefore it's a pleasant space to be in.
So in putting an exhibition in the Western Foyer, it was important to us to in some way capture the key qualities of Danish design, but to register it in a way that anyone walking through the exhibition could immediately understand and come into contact with these key principles of Danish design. In the Western Foyer downstairs, there are a series of 6 windows. They're beautiful grey concrete bay windows. And they have an interesting history because when Utzon left the Opera House, he did a house in Mallorca as his next project. And this house in Mallorca had these sort of reverse bay windows that get narrower as they point to the view. And in architectural circles, they've become really famous as a particular form. And when he returned to the Opera House in 1999, and then did the Western Foyer some years after that, he reintroduced this motif. So what's interesting is this particular form, this bay window, has travelled around the world and come back to the Opera House 40 years after he first did it in Mallorca.
Doing an exhibition is always a challenge, it's always something new. The thing about this exhibition is that it was not an exhibition in itself, it's also a promoting of Danish products, of Danish companies. We asked 6 talented young architects to give their vision of each of the themes. So adding this extra layer, instead of that we design each window, we would give the exhibition hopefully also a more visionary expression at the end. When you have to build up a construction or framing an exhibition like that, you always start out with a skeleton, or the skeleton, or the frame. And the frame in this case was to showcase Danish products and also to showcase how Danish design still has an important influence and how we merge craft, design and architecture.
Presented them with these 6 windows, it was a great opportunity to make 6 showcases of Danish design, or 6 displays. What's interesting, it wouldn't be perhaps registering to anyone except the Danes visiting the exhibition, is this idea of putting things in windows, making these displays of different objects. It's something that's very Danish, and whether you are on the island of Bornholm or in the centre of Copenhagen, you can see people, young people and older people, sort of dressing their windows and making window displays.
When we met for the first time, Gerard and I, it was also a meeting between 2 cultures, the Australian culture and the Danish culture, which gave an extra aspect to the curation of this exhibition. And we very soon found out that we had to frame this skeleton by focusing on how did Utzon work and what was some of his virtues. So you could also say that it's the craftsman's work that kind of set the stages for the window. It's expressed through the architect's vision, and all the products from the Danish companies will be the result of this collaboration between craft, design and architecture.
Another reason for focusing on the windows was that the Western Foyer is literally, as the name suggests, a foyer in use. And in a way it's like a lung that operates for the 3 venues downstairs, so you can go during the day and it'll be quite empty, but if you go at 6 or 7 o'clock there can be 1,000 people in there having cocktails or drinks before a show. And this led to a particular dilemma, because of course we could have an exhibition throughout the foyer, but the problem was these very fine products would become swamped in a way when intervals were there, but of course when the intervals are on, when we want people to focus on the exhibition and the products. So by putting things in the windows, we achieved a number of aims. We were able to organise them according to 6 collections. We were able to refer to this great iconic Utzon design element, this bay window, but also we're able to link to this Danish tradition of putting things in windows. And finally, there's something about taking a product, even a prosaic thing like a cup or a glass, and putting it in this window with a special display, with special lighting, and all of a sudden you look at it differently again. And this is, I think, for us, one of the hopefully successes of the exhibition is we take in products at range. Some things are very valuable, some are things we use every day, but by putting them in the windows and displaying them as artworks alongside Danish arts and crafts pieces, it intuitively says to people, take a second look at this thing and understand you might use it every day, you might have 10 of them in your home, but actually in its own way it's an artwork, a beautifully designed object that deserves to be looked at a second time, as it were.